Good day everyone, I am Jane Angela D. Sebastian and my assigned topic is the gifted and talented learners. So who is gifted and talented? Gifted is having a extraordinary intellectual ability and creativity, while talented is having exceptional skills and ability in a specific area such as art, music, science, and language. So I have here the three definitions. First is the federal definitions. The term gifted and talented, when used with respect to learners, children, or youth who give evidence in high achievement capabilities such areas as intellectual, creative, artistic, or leadership capacity or in specific academic fields, who need services or activities not ordinarily provided by the school in order to fully develop those capabilities. The second is the new proposed definition of outstanding talent. Children and youth with outstanding talent perform or show the potential for performing at remarkably high levels of accomplishment when compared with others of their age, experiment, or environment. So these children and youth exhibit high performance capability in intellectual, creative, and or artistic areas. Possess an unusual leadership capacity or excel in specific academic fields. So, outstanding talents are present in children and youth from all cultural groups across all economic strata and all areas of human endeavor. So, the third is Renzulli's 1978 definition of giftedness is based on an interaction among three basic clusters of human traits. So we have here the Renzulli's three-trait definition. First is the above-average general abilities. It is within the above-average abilities, Renzulli makes a difference between abilities and specific abilities. So like processing information, integrating experiences, and abstract thinking, like the capacity to acquire knowledge, perform in an activity. Letter B is a high level of task commitment. Under task commitment, he understands motivation turned into action, like perseverance, endurance, hard work, but also self-confidence, perceptiveness, and a fascination with a special subject. The letter C is the creativity. Understand the fluency, flexibility, and originality of thought. It is an openness of experience, sensitivity to stimulations, and willingness to take risks. So now, according to McAlpine and Red, 1996, the characteristics of gifted and talented students or learners can be studied in various sections, and we have here the 5 characteristics. We have here the learning characteristics, self-determination characteristics, creative thinking characteristics, social leadership characteristics, and motivational characteristics. So now let's tackle the first one, which is the learning characteristics. Display logical and analytical thinking, is quick to see pattern and relationships, masters information quickly, strives for accurate and valid solution to problem, easily grasps underlying principles, likes intellectual challenge, finds as well as problems, reason things out for herself and himself. So those are the learning characteristics. So the second one is the self-determination characteristics. We have here is skeptical of authoritarian pronouncements, questions arbitrary decision, pushes teachers and adults for explanations, display a precious interest in an adult problems, is reluctant to practice skills already mastered, is easily bored with routine tasks, and lastly, express ideas and preferences. So that is the self-determination characteristics. The third one is the creative thinking characteristics. Produces original ideas, display intellectual playfulness, imagination, and fantasy, creates original text or invent things, generates unusual insights, is not afraid to be different, generates a large numbers of ideas, enjoys speculations and thinking about the future. Those are the creative thinking characteristics. Now let's proceed to the fourth one, which is the social leadership characteristics. We have here the take initiatives in social situations, is popular with peers, communicates well with others, actively seeks leadership in a social situations, shows ability to inspire a group to meet goals, persuades a group to adopt ideas or methods, is self-confident, and lastly, is adaptable and flexible in new situations. Last characteristic is the motivational characteristics. It strives for high standard of personal achievement, is self-directed, is highly self-motivated, and set personal goals, is persistent in seeing tasks to competition, is being committed to and absorbed in tasks, is reliable, and it prefers to work independently. So those are the motivational characteristics. And that would be all. Thank you.
Types of giftedness. According to Betts and Neyhart, there are 6 types of giftedness. Not all gifted students are the same. Type 1. The successful. Most easily identifiable, may account for up to about 90% of the identified gifted students in schools. They learn and adapt well with the system. They are well adjusted to society. They generally have a high self-concept. They are obedient, display appropriate behavior, and are high achievers, therefore loved by parents and teachers. However, they can also get bored at school. They learn the system fast enough so as to use the minimum effort to get by. They are also dependent on the system, thus less creative and imaginative and lack autonomy. Type 2. The divergently gifted. They are the divergently gifted, the ones who possess high levels of creativity. They do not conform to the system. They often have conflicts with teachers and parents. They get frustrated as the school system does not recognize their abilities. They may be seen as disruptive in the classroom. They at risk of dropping out of schools for unhealthy activities like getting involved in drugs or exhibiting delinquent behavior. Type 3. The underground. Refers to gifted students who deny their talents or hide their giftedness in order to feel more included with a non-gifted peer group. They are generally females who are frequently insecure or anxious as their belonging needs rise dramatically at that stage. Their changing needs often conflicts with the expectations of parents and teachers. These types appear to benefit from being accepted as they are at that time. Type 4. The dropouts. They angry and frustrated students who have not been recognized for many years and they feel rejected in the system. They express themselves by being depressed or withdrawn and responding defensively. They are identified very late, therefore they are bitter and resentful due to feelings or neglect. They have a very low self-esteem. Counseling is highly recommended. Type 5, the double-labeled. They are the gifted student who are physically or emotionally handicapped in some way or have learning disability. They are not easily identifiable. They not show behaviors of giftedness that can be identified in schools. They show signs of stress, frustration, rejection, helplessness, or isolation. They are also often impatient and critical with a low self-esteem. They are easily ignored as they are seen as average. School system seems to focus more on their weaknesses and therefore fail to nurture their strengths. And type 6, the autonomous learner. Learners who have learned to work effectively in the school system. They do not work for the system but rather make the system work for them. They are very successful and are liked by parents, teachers, and peers, have a high self-concept with some leadership capacity within their surroundings. They accept themselves and are risk takers, which goes well with their independent and self-directed nature. They able to express their feelings, goals, and needs freely and appropriately. So how can gifted and talented students can be identified? Classroom environments which encourage creative, divergent, and higher level thinking and an open-ended approach to learning will foster the emergence of gifts and talents. Identification processes should be inclusive. To ensure gifted and talented students are not disadvantaged on the basis of gender, racial, cultural, or socioeconomic backgrounds, physical or sensory disability, or geographic location. Identification should be a flexible, continuous process to allow for the recognition of gifts and talents that may not be apparent at first. Information which will help the teacher identify students' strengths, talents, and social-emotional needs can be gleaned from parents, particularly in early identification of gifted and talented students. IQ test, verbal and nonverbal, standardized tests, school records, achievements tests like reading, mathematics, anecdotal records, interviews like from parent, child, community members, previous teachers, school psychologists. Identification checklist, rating scales, interpreters, translators. These are for students from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds. And that's all. Thank you for listening.